Action.
Following up his performance in the film Hellboy, Rupert Evans plays the villainous Richard Rivers, who colludes with Mrs. Suxby to defraud wealthy heiress Maud Lilly.
Richard Rivers is a very interesting character because although he plays two people, in fact he's actually three, because his real name is Frederick Bunt and he comes from a middle to lower class background, and so he has created for him this persona, and he uses his charisma, his charm to really forge his way through life, and really he sets his sights on money. He sees the upper classes living a very privileged lifestyle, and he wants that, and so he finds himself trying to really find any means to get that. My perception of him, he's actually homosexual, so consequently I think also in this time, Victorian time, it was really seen in a very bad light, and he had to hide and suppress those feelings, and I think that's brought about a very angry and a very interesting character to play, particularly where he interacts primarily with two young girls, and the fact that he doesn't physically have any feelings for them, and the way he has to deal with that, but yet has to be around them and has to seem like he's in love with them. It's been very, very interesting, and it's been a real delight, actually. It's been great.
In the novel, the story unfolds non-chronologically and is told from the different perspectives of two principal characters, Sue and Maud. The challenge of adapting this rich, complex narrative fell to screenwriter Peter Ransley.
The very big challenge is in the sense that the book is structured in a way which is not linear, so that you're in the head of two people, and they tell their story separately. We decided we'd have to tell it in a more linear way, and we'd have to have the two characters both much more adjacent to one another, so we cut from one Maud to the other Sue. So the structure is really a lot different from the structure of the book.
It made perfect sense what you did with it, actually. I mean, in changing the structure, it didn't in any way change the story, did it? It was just a sort of slightly different way of presenting it. I mean, you haven't tampered with the themes or the story or the characters at all.
No, that's one of the great joys about it, because sometimes when you adapt a book, you can't use the dialogue. I think Sarah's dialogue is brilliant, and I used as much of it as I can. The other side of that is that everybody reads the book. I mean, the producer and other people read the book, and we all have our favourite bits. So I produce a script, and then you get, why don't you put that in? Why, that's missing, you must use that. So with a whole box of goodies, a whole load of things to choose from, and that is really one of the most difficult things, to boil down something that says so much and to put it into 3 hours.
In this scene, Sue, played by Sally Hawkins, makes a surprise return to Lant Street.
I've just escaped from the asylum, and I've been running through the bushes. These are bush marks. It's one hell of a bush, that, I think. And it's just bruises from the asylum, and probably one of the nurses had a good old smack on the way out. Or she's stolen these clothes from a washing line, and she's run all the way with Charles to London, to Lant Street.
Turn over, please.
I'm turning.
480, take 4. Background action. Action!
This place? And where's Mr.
It's quite amazing being here. One of the things that always amazes me is the sheer number of people involved in producing it. I mean, it's just so different to the writing experience, you know, which is very, very solitary. So things that I dreamt up, you know, at my computer on my own in my bedroom, you know, several years ago, I've now given birth to. They've given work to all these people. One of the things I really like is the way the clothes all look really, really lived in. That's kind of was part of my agenda, I suppose, when I was writing Fingersmith and the other books, is to think about the texture of daily life as people would have experienced it, you know. So I'm glad it's been sort of carried over into the production.
It's great dressing up. I love Dickensian stuff. It is very romantic, and it's all the smog and London, and it's great. It's great. They've got Lance Street there, and that's in Pickwick Papers.
One of the most interesting things is that we are so used to having 19th century costume drama, but you have a lot missing because they're adapted from Dickens books, for example, but the sexual side, the underneath of what was going on, is missing. And I think what Sarah has done, and what is so attractive, is that we go underneath.
It's so fascinating. All the characters are so fascinating. You've got really full characters in this, and characters who are, you know, lied to and fooled, and things that the audience are ahead of.
There's so many moments of just high drama, and it's really melodramatic, but real as well.
Villains are very, very few and far between, so it's always nice to play someone bad.
I think it's a wonderful story.
Good. Well, there we are.